2024 was a year of learning and self-evaluation with me and the whole idea of Pan-Africanism, and my views have changed greatly since the beginning of last year. I'm still in the Pan-African community, but I'm going to address this as a pragmatic individual without selling you dreams or promises that other channels may do. And that brings me to today's topic, Ghana. Spiritual World, which is like an Instagram blog, put up this post the other day. Basically, Ghana is still calling out to the African diaspora to return back to Ghana. And a huge part of that African diaspora that can do so and has the resources, or that has the most ability to have the resources, is the African American community, also known as hashtag FBA, also known as hashtag ADOS, hashtag Freemen. You get it, right? Our community that has the resources possibly and the business connections to come back to Africa and do something great, and also bring skills to the continent to make the continent more competitive. Not a bad idea, especially since Ghana is conferring more passports to African Americans in the diaspora than any other country. But to be honest, I got about 6 things wrong with this, and I want to talk about it right now. Number 1, how will you be perceived? A brother made a very good video about moving back to Africa. He didn't say what country, but I'm assuming that this will be your experience moving to the motherland, even Ghana.
If you're trying to move to Africa, don't make this mistake. I naively believe that the local Africans will look at me as one of their brothers, but that was far from the case. To the average African, I was nothing more than a money bag. Now, this is not me saying that Africans are bad, but rather this is me informing you so you don't make the same mistake that I did in treating someone who sees you as an outsider.
All right, this is the least, I think, of your worries, which is how will you be perceived? You're most likely gonna look at coming back to Ghana, in my case, Uganda, like, whoa, I'm back on the motherland. I'm here with the brother and sisters in a sea of black people, so we're gonna be able to do a lot of great things together. No, you are going to be perceived as a foreigner, meaning that you're a black person that is basically white on the inside. And even if you do get citizenship, and I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later, you're still gonna be considered that. You're not gonna be looked at as one of the people. Now, this can work to your advantage. It has worked to my advantage. On one end, people wanna overcharge you. On another end, people tend to trust you more. So they will do things with you or help you get more opportunities than somebody else of the local community, because they can trust what you're gonna say will be more legit. That's what I have experienced. And I'll talk about trust in a second. But if you're a person that's gonna get very offended about not being perceived well, being an outsider in a place that you really moved your life to be accepted, is most likely not gonna happen. You're gonna have to earn your right to be in Ghana or in any other country. And you're gonna earn it through a slow grind. Trust is not given away easily. It is earned. You have to be a person that pays on time, a person that respects other people, a person that is somebody in the community that people can depend on. Even in the diaspora community, you're also gonna have to earn trust there. And that's one thing that I don't blame the Ghanaian government on this one, but it is gonna be one of the most important ones. Number 2, weak institutions. Now, if you live in America or in the West, institutions are never perfect, but they are stronger. We have a really good banking and financial institution in the private sector in the United States, which is regulated by also the government. Same thing with the food industry, and the same thing with property rights. Strong institutions make sure that nobody can come out and say, wait, I bought that house, but no, I don't own it. No, it's clear who owns the land. This will not be clear in Ghana as it is in the States. And in Ghana, you have weak institutions, just like we have weak institutions in almost every country, including Uganda. Now, is weak institutions a bad thing? Well, let me just say this. If you were to get into a DUI in Uganda or in Ghana, I'm pretty sure you can kind of talk your way out of that, right? And a lot of people die in Africa during the holiday season because of these drunk drivers. But in America, you automatically know, no matter who you are, if you have a DUI, you're gonna pay a price for it, okay? And you're gonna never want to do that again. Now, let me continue what I'm talking about with institutions. If you're moving from a country with strong institutions and you're investing into a country that has weak institutions, you're more likely to lose your money. And losing money happens a lot from people coming from the diaspora over here. It's just a big thing that happens. And you're thinking that you're coming from a place with strong institutions, well then Ghana must have institutions like this, right? Wrong, they don't. Property rights are weak. The law is weak, okay? The private sector is weak, and the economy and the way they regulate it is also weaker. This does not mean you don't have more opportunities, because they are there. I've never been to Ghana, but I'm pretty sure they're there. Opportunities are in Uganda. But the institutions that protect you as a foreigner are weaker. Foreigners want to invest in America, even though America may have lower yields of return than Ghana or Uganda, which has higher opportunities and more return, because they trust the institutions. Their money will be safe. Your money is going to be safe in Luxembourg or in Switzerland. I'm not selling out, I'm just telling you the truth. Your money is less safe in Ghana. You don't have property rights. You don't have a lot of rights. Even if you get citizenship, you are not as protected. Now you can vote if you get citizenship there. You can be counted in the census. You want to have a country that wants to have strong institutions. And Ghana has not shown me that they care about that. They just don't. Number 3, you're moving to a country that has a lack of accountability. All right? This is not just Ghana. This is going to be a lot of the sub-Saharan African countries. Accountability is not going to be there. And you need to basically install accountability into almost everything that you do. People come to work sometimes late. People don't live up to their promises. This is very common. It's also common in America. It's going to be more common in these places. And again, you checking somebody about their mistakes or about them lying can always be pointed back at you and how you're the bad person. Now, that might not be a big deal for some people, but if you're trying to build a business, you cannot build a business if you can't trust people. If you don't have any accountability, if your workers don't have accountability, if you yourself don't have an accountability, and you're in a culture of collaborators and people that you want to do business with, and they're not accountable for their actions, and I don't care, it could be Ghanaian diaspora, you got to watch out for them too, just like you have to watch out for the Ghanaian locals and even some in the African American diaspora. People are just not going to be accountable in the country like you're used to. They're going to be less dependable, and you need to understand that. Is the opportunity there? Yes. But if you go to a culture of unaccountability, which is very prevalent in African countries, that is a problem. That's something that you need to consider. And I'm telling you, as a person that lives here, the culture of accountability is prevalent. It is pervasive. In the private sector, I've dealt with brand managers. I've dealt with people that lie to your face, people that promise you. I mean, I go to war with these people every day for lying to me about something. It's not just people on the street. In fact, those are the people that don't give me any problems. It's your more educated people, people that are higher up, people that lived in the diaspora and came back. A lot of people are liars. We're going to just call it for what it is on the continent for some of these things. All right? This is not everybody, but a lot of people that you're going to promise you something are not going to deliver it. This is not everyone. There are good people in Africa. There are great people everywhere in the world. But you will encounter a lot of liars. And then when it's time to take accountability, they are not going to do that. Can you deal in a place like that, including the government? 4, no trust. There's absolutely no trust in Ghana. I'm pretty sure. I've never been there, but just I can believe that. People don't trust what somebody says they're going to do. Now, do you have trustworthy people in Ghana? Yes, but you have a huge mistrust between, I'm pretty sure, the local community and the government. That's the issue. Let me tell you why. I've met so many people in the Ghanaian diaspora who are doing well. They live in America. They live somewhere else. Do they want to come back and live in Ghana? No. Why? No trust. It's hard to build a business. It's hard to build things in a place where people don't trust anything. It's the same thing with the lack of accountability, because somebody can promise you something one day and then not deliver. So people kind of have to get adjusted to that kind of culture, which is okay. Well, if that person doesn't deliver, well, then I need to say something so that then I don't deliver. And so if you can't trust people, and this is going to be a big deal, when you come to an African country, at first you're going to be all in. By the time year 2 or 3, you still living here, you're going to be like, I can't trust nobody. I don't want to trust. And you have to take risks and have to trust people to do well. You can trust people in Ghana. Let's not say that you can't, but you're gonna get burned so many times, you're not gonna wanna trust people. You have that mentally in your mind. It's hard to build a dream, a life with people you just have to keep filtering out. One of the things that people will tell me all the time here in Uganda, if I ever have issues, they will say, well, you know what? You're dealing with the wrong person. You're dealing with the wrong people. Well, who is the right person? Well, obviously, they're always going to say it's them. Well, it's me. You guys just don't know how things work here. And I want to get back to that because a lot of people in Africa will tell you that. And typically a person talking like that, you have more money than anyway. But it's very difficult to build in a country that you have felt slighted in, that you feel like you can't trust people. 5, let's build on doing business in Ghana, okay? Or in any other country. There is doing business in America. Then there's doing business in Ghana. And there is doing business in Uganda. Uganda and Ghana are not the same. They are, however, more similar to each other than they are to the United States. And the reason is because they basically were colonized by the British. But if you go to Ghana and Uganda, they're going to be very, I will probably say, not the same, but they're going to be more similar. The issue is when you do a business in Ghana, you can't necessarily do it the American way. And you also can't do it the Ghanaian way. Why can't you do it the Ghanaian way? Because you can't compete doing something the Ghanaian way, because Ghanaians are already doing it that way. And this is why a lot of Americans lose money when they do business in Africa. One of the worst things that you can do is come to Africa and then you can get consulted by somebody who lives here. It's the best thing and it's the worst thing. It's the best thing to know the realities of what the market can do and how the market can work. But then when you want to do something a lot better and incentivize people, and if you take advice from this person who can be an idiot, you can be in a lot of trouble. Let me explain what I'm talking about. Somebody could be like, oh man, you can set a business here. All you gotta do is pay this person $150 a month, pay that person the going rate. You can get employees and then you can make a lot of money in this business. The issue is you're not incentivizing a person $150 a month when it costs them $200 or $300 a month to do that. You're taking that advice from a person who lives here and that person is doing things the local way. Nothing wrong with doing things the local way, but if you're gonna move all the way from Houston or St. Louis to come to Accra or Ghana or Kumasi, you can't take that same advice from a person because every business is doing it that way, which means that all of them are making meager earnings. There are plenty of businesses in Uganda that I always see. They're all doing things the same way and all of them are earning the same. They're all on the brink of closing down. You have to come here and you have to understand that doing business the Ugandan way or doing business the Ghanaian way, it won't work for you. It's not gonna work for you as a foreigner. To do better with training, with how you treat them, and then with how you pay them. You're gonna have to learn that, and that's hard because you're gonna have to learn how to do business in the market. Imagine you can have somebody you're doing B2B with. That person's supposed to pay you money, and that person doesn't want to pay you for 5 months. But you need that money to pay your mortgage back in St. Louis. I mean, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna insult that person to pull up? They can just decide to not pay you. Well, since you have the attitude, I'm not gonna pay you now. Yeah, and then what's your recourse? A lot of people are reduced to begging when they come here. And I mean begging for people to pay, for people to do things. And in the reality, you have to be so good, you have to be so talented, you have to be such a great innovative business to stay here that it's unimaginable. You cannot come here and be average at anything and expect to do very well, right? So you're gonna have to figure out what the market needs and whatever it is, and I would suggest you do that for a long time. And markets fluctuate, especially in third world countries. And then the people that are giving you that advice, you can only take it for a grain of salt because they don't know, for the most part, what it may take for them to make an excellent product. A lot of people that give advice in Africa are only after dollars and cents, but not about building customer relationships, not about building relationships with the employees, not about reinvesting as much. You do have them, but they are not there. And these are the issues that you will face if you come to Africa. You're gonna take a lot of advice, most likely for somebody that is less successful than you were in the States, about how to run this business or enterprise, and then that business is not going to perform. Bonus, the Ghanaian government is gonna tell you to move there and you will have no assistance from them. This is what I don't like about Ghana. I don't dislike the country of Ghana. I'm pretty sure it's a nice place. I would love to go there. But here's the issue that I have with Ghana or any other country telling African Americans or the diaspora to invest. What mechanisms do you give people how to get acquainted in the country when they do want to invest? Because that person that's probably in that department is not incentivized either. To be honest, is like, hey, listen, let's just use these guys to bring in our tourism dollars and to have a year of return. Now you're seeing other countries copy it. And somebody has reached out to me to do something like that, a year of return. I won't mention the country. And I've told them, no, I'm gonna probably do a tour because I promised a person that I'm gonna do a tour. But I really am not really big on relocation tours to Uganda or to any other country, because simply I want the government to make some changes to do so if that's the case in any African country. If you're asking somebody to invest in your country where they have a big risk to be successful or whatever, then what are some of the steps that you're trying to do to get them acquainted so that they don't lose? I went to medical school, as you guys know. I went to medical school in Poland, where you didn't have a whole lot of help. You had to figure things out on your own. I had a colleague that went to the University of Minnesota School of Medicine. There was so much help to make sure that the people that went to University of Minnesota School of Medicine all graduated. They all passed their boards. Or there are resources in plenty to make sure that these people were successful. African governments are not gonna do that. Ghana's not gonna do that. The country that I'm in, which don't has a year of return, by the way, so I won't even mention them. But Sierra Leone's not gonna do that. They're just looking at a money grab. Just come and invest, but they're not looking at how successful you wanna be. We need an African country that if you're gonna go after diaspora, including your own diaspora, how invested are you and how successful that they are gonna be? Or do you only care about a check they can make and how much they can write? Because when they fail, they will come back to YouTube and tell everybody about it, or they will tell their friends about it. And guess what? It's gonna get them to go to another African country or to just stay in America. African governments must be concerned about how good somebody is going to do when they pick your country to invest. And until I see that, I can never promote a year of return tour. I can't do it unless that is there. Unless you have somebody in the government, in government offices, that will say, hey, listen, we want to monitor people's success. How are they doing as a project? And then we can agree to do it. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of Fair Use on Kangana. I'm out.